Welcome back to Indian Trace. You know I'm always going to do something slightly different. For the last 3 or 4 days, which is what you're looking at right here in these two groups, I'm going to just bring you behind the scenes on Indian Trace and how I try to keep North American Indian artifacts organized as I collect them and pull them out of the harm's way, if you will, as we all try to do. And there is a different division between these two groups. I actually found this hammerstone today down at the river at midpoint. And it's an incredible piece. Absolutely perfect size, usually is what they come. This is an interesting piece because, I don't know if my focus is working, because they worked it so well off the ends. And in this piece, they didn't use, this person who was napping didn't really nap on the edges. Some hammerstones, they napped right around the edges. And then some fellas, when they were napping, just napped off the ends. Be interesting to see the different technique. The way they took a tool and spun it in their hands and used it. Ken, Rob, Flint's ball. Those of you out there who are nappers know exactly what I'm talking about. It'd be very interesting to watch them. I mean, that would be the privilege of all privileges. That's an incredible hammerstone. Here's how I'm going to make sense of this. What my game plan for the last 3 days. And this is a great group. Why I just couldn't film these. They were just very inconvenient, and I had a time limit many times. So I decided I would pick them up and just drop them in the pocket or the bag the last 3 or 4 days. And then if I found one that was just a G10, I would go ahead and film the whole group out there to do sort of an impromptu setup out in the field with points that I'd found and pieces that were exceptional to me through the last 3 or 4 days. And that's what we're looking at here. But I realized today that the group's getting too big, and I should just go ahead and do a cleanup and explain a little bit about how it always works. I could have waited another 3 or 4 days if I get to go out and still not found just an absolute screaming G10. To some people, some of these artifacts here are going to be just G10. I mean, I remember if you take and we're just going to do a little talk here, take a little point like this green one. I remember when I was happy to run 10 miles to get out and back to a site and just find one artifact. One nice simple artifact like that. And I was happy as can be. Perspectives change. But I know my sites now, and I know what I can expect more or less from them. Let's get rid of this, in a sense, to understand. I had a huge box. That box down there was full. Not with this group, but with a whole other group was full from the last 3 weeks, where I did yesterday a moving day, and I had to bring it out to the koi pond. We've got soapstone here. This is all C4 artifacts. And this piece is even drilled. Just a bit. I don't know what they were doing. Soapstone's very heavy, very cool. We've got pieces of worked high-grade quartz, tips. So this goes into that box to make sense of it all, how I work it. And, you know, everybody out there's a lot of new collectors who are trying to get ideas of how to move forward and what have you. And it waits for a week, 2, 3, until it gets too full, and I bring it out and just fill in the gaps around my rock garden, if you will. And Rob, you've seen it, you know what I mean. And so every once in a while, somebody will say, "Hey, I want a whole bag of that." So I go out and I just start gathering and grabbing the best pieces. They say, "You know, I really like some quartz pieces, some quartz artifacts." And I say, "Sure, you know, no big deal." And because there's a lot of great stuff. But I have to find a place to keep it safe and to make sense of it all, because look at the material and the color in this natural light with pottery. with sugar quartz here. That's a piece of sugar quartz. Everybody, and I remember, I think it was Brooksy was just talking about on his video that everybody on YouTube has had to figure out their own way of personal expression. And you know, and it's going to lie that way. Let it lie the way it lies. So, that, to give you a sense of it, that moves into the box after 3 days here. And I'm going to move forward with a clean slate, if you will, in some ways. And then this is going to go into a holding area until I have another moving day. Whether it'll be a giveaway or whether you go ahead and throw me a little bit of postage and handle it and I just send it to you, I don't know. But now I might go ahead. This is where I have a dilemma where I think it through of whether or not I'm going to keep and put them in my display. But it'll work out one way or another. Unbelievable stuff here. And I wanted to film it live. I couldn't. So here we go. Of course, I'm going to make the foundation of a little display out of this piece. So valuable. I'm telling you what, you pick one of these up, you take a look at it, you hold it in its weight, and you know that the last human hand to hold this was about 3,000-4,000 years ago. For their life, carries a lot of energy. Awesome pieces, always. And I have lots of hammerstones. I had a couple people step up and drop me an email and said I need and want some of those hammerstones you talk about, and I have them. I have them. And so we just strike a deal where I can get the postage and handling and everything and all the, you know, just small collector's fee and just make it happen. Just make it happen. That's a nice stone. Don't know how I'm going to organize this little display. Can you see that? I don't know if it's coming in. Very important just to take a solid look at it and consider. No human being has handled it in 4,000 years, but it was a specific tool. Look at these two scrapers. Of course, they were worth a good show, so I saved them and thought, well, I'm bound to come over a G10 somewhere and in this whole group, and there's a lot of great points here. I didn't hit that point to just push me over the edge or have the conditions or the time. Look at that scraper, will you? God knows what happened to the other side of that flint. Couldn't figure it out, but I know for sure it's a scraper. I can tell with the edges. So, as this video gets going, I'm not going to take too long with all of it. Just a little bit of a cleanup. Some of the guys out there do cleanups, I mean all the time, which is good. Gives you a good chance to see some good artifacts. Now, I'm going from top to bottom. Look at these two pieces I found in the same place. I got to just jump out in the evening the other day. Look at those pieces, will you? That's quartz work for you. You see a piece like that, you're like, my goodness, that would have been a thing of beauty. That's Heartbreakers. That's why it's over there, because it's going in my Heartbreaker display. And this too. There's just certain qualities sometimes that appeal. As a collector, you guys know what I mean. Great material. Now let's look at these. Just grabbing a couple at a time to show you and highlight. Marl Mountain, very common field point. What you're looking at, a lot of this stuff, when I put it away or move it on, it's going to either go into my C3 box, which are open and available for people to go ahead and have, and just get into a personal collection they want. And some of it, I'm still deliberating. Funny, these came from around the same, I just put the handful out there around the same place in the easement right here, within feet of each other. Let's take a look at those two. And so I move along and I pick a piece up like this and I'll say, all right, I'll see it ahead of time and won't make a movie out of it. It'll make good for something else. And I just wait. And I played the game, but I missed. I didn't find that G10, if you want to call it that. But I found some exceptional artifacts. And today, when I found this hammerstone, I knew it was really time to just get these up there. I mean, look at this. I'm still not done getting through them. Piece right here from the strip. Piece right here from when I was able to jump back out into the jump off. This is sugar quartz. It is Hardaway type, and it is going to be in somebody else's collection. I remember having a discussion one day with a friend of mine, and the question came up: how do you really decide? And is it a matter of which is most valuable, which is oldest, that sort of thing? And I said, no. I said it's really just a matter of the heart with me, because there'll be more to come in. I've already vowed that the first really nice, and I've never really found a whole bunch of them, Clovis point I find, I'm just going to sell it. I'm going to give it to whoever wants it, and I'm not going to soak anybody, but I'm going to get it because my family has needs, and I don't really consider Clovis to be any more valuable than these. It ain't no big deal. I mean, this stuff speaks and whispers and shouts of a great culture. Multiplied eras as in time periods of people. Multiplied time periods of people living their lives, feeding their babies, young boys and girls growing up, women, men, living and loving. That's what this all speaks of. Look at this. And last three here, a great point here that I found as I went through, I think it was the Cascade, because I know they're going to finish off that tobacco and take it up. It's actually just missing a little off the tip. It's an incredible color though. It's a Yadkin. Just a great piece. And I know because of the uniqueness of that, somebody probably want it. It's fine. For whatever reason, it doesn't. And I do. A lot of people say, well, aren't you ever... I have some people that are new that click over to YouTube here and they say, well, why don't you keep anything? I keep a lot. You guys know that. There's so many videos I put up and just been able to. Look at that piece and the color. So I'm able to do different kinds of things, I think, that maybe many collectors can't. Like be picky. Great Guilford round in a Marl Mountain. Classic for this area. This video I can see has been long enough, but I wanted to give you a good show of all this. And like I said, I couldn't film these out in the field for time's sake, and whether it was water, rain, and then I was playing a game where I believed I was going to be able to find a G10, but they don't happen all the time. Some people think that these are just out there like Easter eggs for me. They're not. I told somebody really it doesn't happen that way. But I've been doing this long enough, which is a short amount of time for some, where I do know how it does happen. Appreciate everybody tuning in to Indian Trace. That's a good show of it right there. I think a good position. And that right there, that's Indian Trace. Hope you find out there.